Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on any major podcast system, Amazon TV, and YouTube. Join Mary Ann Faremouth for today's show.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, a show that's been created by the Texas Authors Organization in 2011. Our program has helped writers all over the world showcase their work and provides inspirational advice and tips on the craft of writing and its application to many venues. My name is Mary Ann Faremouth, and I'll be your hostess for this segment of the show. I am a published author in nonfiction and fiction genres, and also a consultant that works with people to expand and grow in their personal and professional lives. Today, I'm delighted and proud to have with me Garry Errigo, a real Renaissance man. The definition of Renaissance man is a person with many talents or areas of knowledge. And Garry really personifies that definition. Not only is Garry a very successful singer-songwriter that's produced his first album, Legacy, but he also currently works as a physician's assistant in a family practice, and additionally has practiced as a doctor of chiropractic medicine in the past. Welcome, Garry. We're proud to have you with us today. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule as a much-needed medical person in our world today to share your beautiful story.
Mary Ann, thank you very much, and thanks for the flattering introduction and the opportunity to be here this evening on Indie Beacon Radio.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. And, you know, Garry, with all of us these days, and I know we're in a new year now and, you know, being positive as we can going forward, but, you know, with all of us having so much uncertainty and challenge in our lives, music can really be considered a healing modality, if you will. Can you tell us about how you got started and what kind of songs you write about?
Well, I mean, you're 100% correct. I mean, music is and can be a very healing modality. It's shown to be very effective in mood changes, sleep issues, helping people with dealing with sadness in their life and adjust appropriately. As far as my music, writing my songs, I try to incorporate things that I know, like an author, I'm sure, you being an author, things that you know about, things that you can talk about, and messages you want to send. I sit down, I have a concept maybe, or an idea. It could be conjured up by billboards or a comment someone makes, and a message I want to send, and that's what the ultimate goal is, to send a message that hopefully will help people out.
Great. Well, I think, you know, as an author, you know, what we do is, you know, write stories, and I think music is a story too. It's a story about a situation, and one of the songs you write that I've heard that you've written, Garry, is called Distant Path, and it's about Alzheimer's. And I know, I did a little homework. The Alzheimer's Foundation of America says that when used appropriately, music can shift mood, manage stress-induced agitation, stimulate positive interactions, facilitate cognitive function, and coordinate motor movements. But what inspired you, Garry, to write about Alzheimer's in your beautiful song, Distant Path?
Well, thanks for listening to it and saying nice things about it. But I work as a physician assistant. I work in family practice, and we have a pretty good sized geriatric patient base. Also, I do nursing home care. I do psychiatry nursing home twice a week. That allows me to contact a lot of individuals with dementia or cognitive decline or Alzheimer's disease. My aunt has Alzheimer's disease to the point where she doesn't know any of us, doesn't know family members, or can't really recall anything. My mom had a little bit of cognitive decline in her last couple of years of her life. So, you know, that exposure obviously affects an individual. And an idea came to write a song about Alzheimer's, and Distant Path was created.
And when these patients hear music, Garry, do you see them come alive a little bit, or do you see them maybe being able to remember things better? Or, you know, does the music kind of, especially, you know, the old timers music, the old time music, does that help these people have a sense of maybe being happy because they can remember something?
Well, I think it does instill some degree of memory when they hear things that they recognize. They may not understand it completely or be able to explain it, but an example, I mean, there was an individual that I saw in a nursing home that had Alzheimer's, couldn't really communicate well, couldn't answer questions that we spoke of, but when there was a piano in the waiting room or in the common area of the home, and he'd sit there every day and play, and it was amazing.
Oh,
I mean, a concert pianist, that was just fantastic.
that's great.
Well, yeah, music is definitely healing.
And the other song that I like so much that you wrote was the song called Read Between the Lines. And tell us where that came from.
Well, that's kind of a sad scenario. I mean, it's a song about suicide, which is probably too prevalent in our society today. Amongst primarily, we're seeing it more in teenagers, young adults. It's going to be interesting to see what this pandemic that we're dealing with is going to create in that venue as far as people just wanting to check out. But that specifically is a song about a childhood friend of my son's that I knew since he was in kindergarten, and followed him through elementary school, middle school, high school, into college. And I guess in our community, kids kind of hang out through all their lives. I have friends that I graduated with that I still hang out with. So that song, that song was written, probably the quickest song I ever wrote. Maybe because of the emotions involved. I came from his memorial service and came home and wrote that song. And it's a song that honors him and his family and people who are having to deal with that thing in their life. Yeah.
Well, I understand what you're saying. And I had an event with a friend of mine that was just diagnosed with cancer. And after she called me and I got in the car, I turned on a song, and it was a Garth Brooks song. And I went and I wrote an article for it. But tell us the genre of your songs. What can, like, the popular people that inspired you? What kind of genre is it? Is it more country? Is it more easy listening? Is it more rock? How would you describe it?
Well, when I started writing music, I've been playing guitar for over 55 years, 56 years, and never really wrote a song, and decided 5 years ago that I was going to start writing some songs. And I ended up writing like 45, 50 songs, and the first 11 are in that first album. But I originally started wanting to have something that was light rock, easy listening rock. Tried to copy it after, or I guess influenced by the styles of Eric Clapton and his acoustic bluesy type things. So I like bluesy, and I like light rock and easy listening stuff. But the more, as I added harmony to the lyrics and I added some guitar licks, it started getting a sound more and more like country, which again was not my thing I wanted to do. So I coined the phrase blues rock ditty kind of country, because to me that's what it is, and I guess that's my discovered new genre, blues rock ditty kind of country. And I've written a song entitled that in the album, and it's a kind of an uplifting song, kind of fun to listen to.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we got a couple of minutes here left before we give our sponsors a chance to do their thing. But if there was a person out there, Garry, that was on the fence about trying to write a song, what would you tell them in about a minute here, so we can go to our sponsors? What would you tell them? How would you help them have more confidence to give it a shot and try their hand at it?
Well, obviously you have to have some music background, or just be a poet and have the ability to write some words and put them together. Something you know about, something you're passionate about, a message you want to send to somebody, because I think that's the ultimate reason and the ultimate goal is to send a message to the masses, and music's a good way to do it. Especially with the internet these days, you can really get your ideas and music and thoughts out there.
Yeah. Well, we're almost there at the stopping point, but the one thing I noticed too is that so much of what you write about, is what people are dealing with, or they have dealt with in 2020. I know we're in a new year now, but you wrote all this before the pandemic hit. So do you think a lot of it came from the fact that you are a physician assistant? Anyway, I'll tell you what, let's hold that thought and let's give our sponsors a chance to do their thing, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Authors Marketing Guild, a membership-owned company where authors can learn how to better market and sell their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com.
Factor 7, the newest thriller by author J.D. May, will keep you turning the pages with mystery, betrayal, lies, and infidelity. Ripped from the headlines, Factor 7 follows two prominent doctors who uncover a clandestine plot to spread a bioweapon with a 98% mortality rate. Journey with them as they experience a world of murder, power, intrigue, and corruption, where it becomes deadly clear that exposing the truth is just as dangerous as the weapon they seek to expose.
Hi, I'm Mel Greenberg, author of Running with Our Eyes Closed, book 1 in the Empty Nested series. To the world, Samantha has the perfect life. 3 wonderful children, a loving husband, so she thought, and a life split between Dallas and Italy. When her youngest leaves for college, it all comes crashing down, forcing Samantha to re-examine everything. Over 7 days in one of the most romantic countries in the world, Samantha faces the past she thought she'd overcome and begins to redefine her role as a woman, a wife, and a mother.
Do you send book sales to a company that takes most of your money? Do you want a bookstore that supports you? Want to earn more money from your book sales? Introducing a bookstore for indie authors and small press only. Earn up to 80% of your book sales and learn how to better market yourself. Join the 150 authors already signed up to earn their fair share at b4r.store. Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on any major podcast system, Amazon TV, and YouTube. Join Mary Ann Faremouth for today's show.
Well, welcome back. My name is Mary Ann Faremouth. I'm the hostess for this episode of Indie Beacon Show, and today I'm honored to have with me Garry Errigo, singer-songwriter of the wonderful album Legacy. Garry, welcome back, and tell me, you write so much about almost the human element, and this was all written before the pandemic. Do you think what you do as a physician assistant also inspires you because you're dealing so much with the human element and people dealing with illnesses? Do you think that very much helped you become a writer of songs?
Well, I don't know if it was out of that movement, but I mean, who knew that the pandemic was coming? Who knew that COVID-19 was something? But no, I write about life. I write about life story, life, birth, death, fun, sadness, the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. I take a lot from family. My song, if you look at the album, most of the songs are about family members. Daughter of mine is obviously about my daughter, who I'm quite proud of, and she's an emergency room doctor, and the comment of tough as nails is basically defines her. Living the Dream was, and the song Brimstone and Lightning, those 2 songs were influenced by my son, who was married and then divorced, and they kind of tell both ends of that spectrum. Lorenzo's Lullaby is my first grandson. I mean, so all things that are part of life, and you write about. I write about.
Right. Let's wrap right here for our sponsors again, and we'll be right back.
I'm sorry, what happened there?
You said you can rap.
No, that was already up there. We were rolling in this time period here. We're still 8 minutes to go.
I thought it said you can rap. Okay.
That was previous. Yeah.
So should I redo it then, or just what? Or just shorter?
Just ask him another question and move forward.
Okay. All right. Garry, at what age did you start writing? I think you mentioned at one point in one show that the Beatles inspired you. Was there a particular night or song or day that all this happened?
Well, yeah, I did. In 1964, watching the Ed Sullivan Show. It was a variety show that came on every Sunday in the 60s, and kind of neat because all family, it had something for every member of the family. So you sit down with the family, watch the show. Well, that particular night, they were spotlighting the Beatles' first debut appearance on American TV. And the song they sang was "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and I can remember it as if it was yesterday, in 1964. And uh, at that moment, even couldn't hear the song amongst the screaming TD boppers in the audience. I asked my parents the next day because I was hooked. I wanted to play guitar. So I put away my accordion from an Italian family. Of course, we learned to play accordion, and they let me put it away, and I've been playing guitar ever since. So it's like 55, 56 years.
What a great story. What a great story. Now, I know you have a band called the Jack Rabbit Band, and you still appear at different events with that band, or how does that all work into all this?
Well, there was a time where I put my guitar away. I mean, for 20 years, I didn't play. Because of school and college and marriage and raising kids, and my wife never even heard me play. And then one day I picked it up. We had a piano in the house. I always played music with the kids, and they have those memories, but they never heard me play guitar. And I decided to dig it out one day, and probably a mistake because since then I've bought about 40 more. But nevertheless, I started playing again, and my wife said, "You should go out and play." And so I started playing in open mics. Got more comfortable, and then ended up starting a band, the Jack Rabbit Slim Band. The Jack Rabbit Slim Band, we played in a lot of the venues in Detroit metropolitan area. Classic rock stuff, no originals, just all covered tunes, but tunes of 60s, 70s, and 80s. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So it sounds like this first album is done very well for you, and I know that. I've heard a lot of good feedback from people that have heard it because it really kind of resonates with a lot of what we're going through. What kind of plans do you have for the future to do another album?
Well, that album right now is available on 180 music platforms. So where anybody listening, wherever they purchase their current music or streaming music, and also currently now available on D4R that store. Associated with this radio program, they can purchase that. If they want to purchase it through me and want a hard copy of it with the art that my son, who's an illustrator, did, a signed copy, they can contact me through my email address, and I guess we could get that out there somehow. But I've in the middle of doing a second album. That album is called The First Citizen. It's going to have 12 songs on it. And they're all written, they're all ready to go. I just got to record them. So.
Well, that's great. Well, that's great. Well, I think your background is really interesting, and I know there is a song you wrote called Renaissance Man. And tell us about that. I mean, was that based upon all the different talents that you have and what you do, or tell us about that song?
Well, I mean, I think I'm blessed with a lot of talents, and they're all God-given. And I used to tell my kids the worst thing you can do is to ignore God-given talent. So I take advantage of everything that I like and have the ability to do. So Renaissance Man was, again, from a nursing home. A song that I wrote after watching a couple of kids, just noticed a couple of kids in the lobby of the nursing home kind of, looking around and laughing and pointing at people and that kind of thing. And you could tell they were a little uncomfortable and didn't understand what was going on. And I looked at somebody they were looking at was an old gentleman sitting in a corner with a cap on that said World War II veteran. And I had a song right there. I said, okay. So I put in some of my personal attributes and kind of built him up a little bit and became this individual. Just he tells his story that he wants to be remembered from the songs he wrote and wants people to listen to it and remember him as who they didn't realize he actually was.
That's great. That's great. This second album, the inspiration for that was that anything particular that got you to want to write a second album, or you just kind of collect your thoughts and write as you go?
Well, I've written about 45, 50 songs, so I want to get them out there. So I'd rather than do it single releases, I like doing it in an album scenario. That's the era I guess they come from. Albums were a cool thing. It was a piece of art, and my son personified that on the last CD as well. So, yeah.
How long did it take you to write that many songs? I mean, that sounds like a lot of songs.
Sometimes one night, sometimes 1 month. But I'll start writing, get an idea, sit down and write it, maybe get a couple verses and get locked and have to go to something else and get an idea in the middle of the night and get up and write it down and go down and start writing song more. So it just depends on the inspiration, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I know you have many different kind of genres that you draw from, but do you have one particular artist or songwriter that is your favorite that really inspires you too?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. The first concert I ever saw was Cream with Eric Clapton as the lead guitar player. I was a lead guitar player in a rock band. That sounds like a song, but put that all away and because even Eric Clapton started picking up acoustic guitar and started doing some Delta blues and things. So I started doing that when he did probably. But I listened to Cat Stevens and I listened to James Taylor and Harry Chapin and Jim Croce and all these people. You know.
Okay, we got to wrap up, but all right, let's take a break and let our sponsors, tell us a little about what they do, and we'll come right back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drink time.
Got it right here now.
I found this today. It says music water. I had to buy it. Ellen, can I mention about the conference in
Lone Star Festival, where Texas authors, artists, and creatives come together for a Texas-sized event. Join us on May 29, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Seguin Coliseum, Seguin, Texas. Free for everyone. Produced by Texas Authors Institute of History. Sponsored by B4R.store, Authors Marketing Guild, and the City of Seguin. More information at lonestar.bookfestival.network. Mary Ann Faremouth is a career consultant with 30 years' experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmouth.com. Join us for the 6th Annual Authors Marketing Event in Granbury, Texas on July 23rd to the 25th, 2021, where authors share ideas and learn from the professionals over a 2-day weekend. Receive your book marketing certification from the only organization in the world that has been doing it for 5 years, Authors Marketing Guild, a membership-based organization that supports authors from around the world. Learn more at ame.authorsmarketingguild.com. Sponsored by IndieLector.store, a bookstore that pays authors their fair share. Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on any major podcast system, Amazon TV, and YouTube. Join Mary Ann Faremouth for today's show.
The Indie Beacon Show. My name is Mary Ann Faremouth, and I'm here with talented singer-songwriter Garry Errigo. Garry, I know as an author, I sometimes have voices in my head that kind of want to get their stories out. As a musician, do you have that similar aspect or that similar experience?
The business I am, people hear voices in their head. That's a whole other issue. But I'm always thinking. I'm always got something going on in my head. Yeah, I think that any creative person does that on a routine basis, and anything you see will again lighten that up in your mind as a starting thing, if not the final piece. But no, I pretty much write about the things that I see and like and have experienced. I mean, yeah, I get personal satisfaction from it, definitely, and that's probably part of the impetus to do it.
You ever think that maybe you'll write a book about all your many talents? Because so much of what you do, Garry, and I've known you for a long time, but so much of what you do is about helping people, whether it's dealing with an illness or chilling out or relaxing or or talking about a good dish of spaghetti or that great soup you make, that great fish soup. I mean, do you ever think about putting a book together with all these cool things that you do?
Well, the easiest thing would be a cookbook, obviously, because I love to cook, and I could probably put out a book in that sense. I've built a pizza oven last year or a few years ago in my backyard. I guess I could do a pizza oven building and using book. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've toyed with the idea of writing a book. I've written a couple chapters for a book that I probably want to do someday, but it's very time consuming, as you well realize. It's a lot quicker to write a song and get it out there as a final product than it is a book. But one of these days when I get to retire, hopefully maybe I can do that.
That's great. Well, I think the beauty of this interview too, for all of our listeners, is that we're all connected. We're all human beings. We all have experiences in life that we deal with. And how great, whether we're a writer of a book or poetry or music, that we can share our stories, however they come out, with people. And I think that, for me anyway, my writing has helped me grow as an individual. And as a musician, don't you feel, Garry, too, that writing songs, being a songwriter, has helped you expand and grow too?
Well, absolutely. Again, we mentioned earlier about music being a healing modality. It is, whether you're listening to it, writing it, playing it. It definitely is something that rewards me. I mean, it makes me feel good. It's de-stresses me and probably anybody else that would do it if it's their source of love, and that's what they do. Yeah.
With social media now being so prevalent in our world, you feel that people can tune into music a whole lot more because of all the different places they can hear?
Well, exactly. I mean, a recording artist years ago, to try to get their stuff out there, you'd have to go to Nashville and Memphis and record at Sun Records and try to really have a manager push you, right? In the 70s, it was easy because it was new stuff, but now it's even easier. But it's competitive even more so now too, because now there's more people being seen and heard. So now you got the masses that you're competing with, where it was just a couple of individual bands that made it big back in the day, you know. But I'm not looking to make it big. I do this for fun. If somebody's, I'd love for someone to pick this song up and somebody that's famous and play my songs or sing my songs. It'd be great. But yeah, I'm too old to go out and tour and do that stuff. Nor do I even want to do that. Yeah.
I know you have one other song that's a beautiful song that I think a lot of us can relate to about your mother. I did know your mother, and she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. But was that a healing exercise for you personally to write that song about your mother?
Well, the song was written, my mom passed a little over a year ago. The song was written probably about 5 years ago. And it was written for her because she's always been someone in my life that encouraged me and supported me in anything I ever did. And she was a hardworking lady, and I just wanted to pay her that gratitude and respect. And she heard it and listened to it, and we got to play it at her funeral, and that was the final thing for me. But yeah, she heard it and listened to it and smiled every time she heard it and understood that it was her, and was actually obviously quite humbled to have somebody write a song about her.
Well, tell us about where we can hear more about you. Tell us, do you have a website, or if somebody really wants to connect with you, Garry, how can they do that?
I'm on 180 some music platforms. My name, Garry Errigo, and Legacy will get you to my music. I'm on YouTube. I don't have a website finished. I've got one that, like everything else I do, half done, but it's getting there. Or you can email me, and my email address is backdoc@ameritech.net. So BACKDOC@ameritech.net. If somebody wants a CD autographed, Christmas is coming up, guys. And the artwork is pretty cool because, again, my son did it. He's an illustrator, and that's how you find him.
Well, we are thrilled to have you with us, and Garry is a real testament to a real Renaissance man, but a man that really does what he does to really help people. And music is certainly a healing modality. So we appreciate you taking the time today to be with us. And I want to say again, I'm Mary Ann Faremouth. I am a member of Indie Beacon Show, and we're going to have a wonderful conference, Garry. We hope you join us in July in Granbury, Texas. Ellen does a wonderful job of bringing so many writers, songwriters, people that write scripts, all kinds of different things 2 Granberries. So we hope we see you there. And from Mary Ann and Gary and everybody at Authors Marketing Guild, thank you so much, and keep listening to Indie Beacon Show. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity for being here tonight, and thanks for listening.
Thank you for watching the Indie Beacon Show, produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing Guild, LLC, copyright 2021. Voiceover by Randy James and B. Allen Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of this show, please reach out to us at info@authorsmarketingguild.com. If you'd like to be on the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music is Always Rejoice by Rampart of Ukraine.